Good evening, and welcome to our Pittsford Central School District Board of Education meeting. We're now calling the meeting to order, and please join us in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and we'd like to begin the meeting with a moment of silence for the families and students who were impacted by the school shooting in Appalachia High School in Barrow County, Georgia. Thank you. May I have a move for the approval of the agenda motion? That would be from Kim and Dave. Thank you. All in favor? And none opposed. That motion carries. Next, we'd like an approval of the minutes from August 13, 2024. That would be from Renee and Jeff. All in favor? None opposed. The ayes have it. Next, we will review our Board of Education reports. There are various meetings from Monroe County School Boards Association, and all of us are affiliated in some way with those. And so I attended the board leadership meeting along with Jeff, Casey, and we have meetings coming up that we will be attending. So those are involved, those of the executive committee meeting, information exchange committee, district operations, legislative, and steering committee meetings. Important dates to remember. On October 3rd, we will have our first board visit tour at Minden High School. And by a show of hands, I'm asking members who can attend. Wonderful. Thank you. We're always excited to do our board tours. Next, our schools are closed on October 11 for Superintendent's Conference Day. On the 14th of October, our schools are closed for Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day. And our next regularly scheduled board meeting is October 15.
It's almost the end of the year. Almost there.
Slow down.
Yes. So next we will have financial reports from Mr. Vespi.
All right, thanks so much. First for your consideration is a budget transfer request from BOCES. And this is to better align what we find are smaller transfers during the year to kind of correspond with the bills that we pay now. So there was first a budget in BOCES and then the actual bills, and we've realigned some of those based on best practices.
May I have a motion to accept the budget transfer request, BOCES services? That's from Sarah and Emily. All in favor? None opposed. That motion carries.
All right, next is a similar transfer. We budget for non-elective benefits in one code, and typically we'll do a transfer later in the year from one part of the budget into another part of the budget contractually. And so what we've done this year is decided to list them all out at once.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the budget transfer request for change in contractual obligation to non-elective benefits? That's from Renee and Kim. Are there any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Unopposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, next for your consideration is a budget amendment. We discussed this first at the end of last year that I became familiar with this. And what we do is we're able to run our professional development through a BOCES budget. The way to budget this officially should be on both the revenue side and on the expense side. So as I mentioned in June, in the upcoming year, we'll be making that change. So Terry Hessler, who's our new budget director, really has been doing a good job at going through some of these changes, noting them. So when we go through the budget process this year, we won't have as many budget transfers. And again, follow best practices. So that's what this represents, so that we don't have to do two small transfers for expenses that we know we're going to send to BOCES and then have them send the money back.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the curriculum and instruction BOCES budget amendment? It will be from Jeff.
Second.
And Sarah. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed. That motion carries.
Next for your consideration is the appointment of J.P. Morgan Securities for Treasury investments. This should be the fourth leg of our investment strategy as we move into a season where the Fed is most likely going to cut rates going forward. It's good to have the ability to invest directly with U.S. Treasuries, both bills and notes. This has been recommended by our 3+1 advisors. And really, like I said, with the exception of appointing other financial institutions, that gives us more of a broad ability to invest with our certificates of deposit. This should be the final leg of our investment strategy and really give us diversified choices going forward between NICLAS, NILAF, and this Treasury as an option, as well as the banks that do business with us for certificates of deposit.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the resolution to join J.P. Morgan Securities LLC? That's from Dave and Emily. Are there questions? Hearing none, all in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next for your consideration is just the official appointments of both the deputy purchasing agent and deputy treasurer. At the time of the reorg meeting, we didn't have the personnel to be in these positions. So we'd like to name Terry Hessler and Rachel Smith in those duties in the absence of those positions.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the deputy purchasing agent and deputy treasurer resolution? That's from Renee and Kim. No questions? Are questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you.
All right, next for your consideration is the declaration of surplus and scrap equipment. Of note is some of the vehicles from the operations and maintenance department. So we'll surplus those and then auction those off. And we've been doing pretty well, actually, on that market in the last couple of years.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to accept the declaration of surplus and scrap equipment. That's from Sarah and Dave. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay, the bid award will be taken care of on the consent agenda. And then next we have the discussion for a capital project update for the Board of Education. So Mr. Perry, I'll turn that over to you for some introductions and then entertain questions after that.
Thanks, Mike. Prior to this going out for bid, I talked about campus construction and SEI being of the highest quality, people that we could possibly acquire for projects of this size and beyond. And they've been wonderful to work with tonight. Both campus and SEI are going to give a presentation. And they've really done a remarkable job getting our schools ready. I'll be at the very last, the last second. But our vestibules are all secured, and our schools are safer because of them. And they had to do a lot of work, especially when we think about today's world where we have so many delays in materials and supplies and workforce. And they've been right on top of it. And I also just want to acknowledge Scott Barker's role in really being a tremendous communicator from the work of SEI and campus to the buildings and to the principals so we can communicate with the community and with staff about what's happening and when it's happening. So great team. Thank you so much for coming tonight for an update. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Pirro. Thank you, Board. My name is Kurt Vader with SCI Design Group,
Nick Ippolito with Campus Construction.
and we'll be presenting a update on the capital project. As Mr. Pirro noted, that this project was actually broken up into 2 phases. Phase 1 was the secure main entries for all the buildings, which was completed this summer and continues to be completed through the last parts of substantial completion. Nick will be speaking to those, and I will be speaking to the Phase 2. Which is the Mendon High School, Barker Road Middle School, additions, renovations, predominantly, and with some updates with some schedule and renderings. We showed you some renderings on the last time we did a presentation. These are the more enhanced with a lot more finished selections as a result of all of our meetings.
Great. Thank you, Kurt. So just wanted to briefly talk about Phase 1. The project scope was really focused on safety and security, and what that allowed us to do was to do the work for the secure front entry vestibules at all 9 of your schools. Even after you leave this meeting, you're welcome to walk out, go see the main entrance at Barker Road. We have definitely taken care of those, and I'll have some pictures to show you momentarily. We also had another safety and security focus, which was the area of assembly, locks, and door replacement. That part of the project actually started last summer. We did a number of the large-scale areas and hit upon a door here or a door there to try and make things more safe and secure. This summer, we were able to finish that entire scope of work. And then lastly, as part of Phase 1, we did some pool upgrades. You'll see a couple of photos where we definitely did an upgrade with the scoreboard at Mendon High School pool. I did just want to share that.
I'm sorry, if I could just interject.
Yes, sir.
Quick. I don't want to underestimate the work that was done with the assembly locks and the door replacement. That was significant. And one of the concerns that we've had forever is how do we secure rooms of large assembly? And so that work entailed reworking how we look at our doors and systems for auditoriums, for gyms, et cetera. So all of our doors now have intruder lock type systems where all staff, no matter what room they're in, and kids can feel safe in the worst case scenario, where the doors can lock from the inside. So
Correct.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you. I did just want to talk about the budget. The entire project, as Kurt said, we've split up into Phase 1 and Phase 2. This was the Phase 1 portion of the project. The entire project, though, was $69.8 million, give or take a little bit. The Phase 1 portion was only $2.5 million. So this was a blip of what's coming. And you'll see as Kurt goes through the next part of the scope, you'll have a better understanding about where the rest of the dollars are going. Make no mistake, although this was a small amount of dollars, this was a big ask. As Mr. Pirro said, we worked up till the last minute to get this done. Lots of timing issues, lots of material issues as we were talking about, but real small portion to get started. I did want to show you a couple of pictures just so you can get a better idea about what we were looking at. So this is the Mendon High School secure entry. You'll see the picture on the bottom shows the previous transaction window, and then right above that will show you what the new transaction window looks like, as well as to the right of it shows you what the new interior is. You'll also notice that there's an iPad on a stand off to the left there. That is handled through your IT department, and Matt Kwakowski and Jeff Kimmer's team have all been working on that to figure out how all of your visitor aware stuff is working, and that is what that functionality is handling. We did talk about the pool scoreboard, so here you got a couple of pictures. The lower picture does show what the previous scoreboard looked like, and we did replace it with a brand new scoreboard in the same location. It is wonderful. I know people have appreciated it, and that got done March, April-ish of this past year, but it was part of the Phase 1 project. Another school we wanted to highlight was Sutherland High School. Again, the secure entry. The bottom picture shows what the original what the original transaction window looked like. Above you have another picture of what the current transaction window is. And again, all new doors, storefront. And then we showed you a picture of what the inside of that transaction window area actually looks like. Brand new millwork that's in there for the staff person that's going to be working in that area. Calkins Road Middle School. You can see on the bottom, again, the previous entry was a door going right into the main entrance as soon as you came in the front doors. We've changed that now to, again, create that secure vestibule area. So that door got infilled, and you can see in the picture above, it's now a transaction window. And then we did put in some new front security doors there as well. We replaced the outside doors accordingly. Lastly, we have Menden Center Elementary School. This one is a bit more unique than all of the other schools, and I encourage you, as you have a chance, to go and see it. Just because of the geography of where the office is actually located there, we needed to set this one up a little different. But again, we did create a full secure vestibule, doors, transaction windows, and this one utilizes a bit more technology than some of the others to allow for any visitors that are entering that school or asking to enter that school to be able to be handled by the office. That's all that I have for phase one. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any of them.
Could I just add, a lot of people listening to this aren't privy necessarily to the work, the changes that necessarily have taken place. So our new security system, part of the biggest parts of the difference between what it was and what it is now. We now have cameras leading up to visitors coming in, which we can see people as they enter. They have to be buzzed in. Once they're in, they're still not in the building with the general population. There is a drop-off area for visitors and parents to leave stuff without going into the general population. Should they need to get into the general population, there's a second buzzer that's in place to get them into the general population after further inquiry. We also have the shatter-resistant glass that is in that main vestibule area, which is significant. It's not only helpful in the sense of an emergency, but it also protects and makes people feel comfortable that are working for that front entry door. So it's the work, while it's $2.5 million, and you went over it really quick, I just don't know if you're giving yourselves enough credit, because the end product is phenomenal. It's both welcoming to the community, and it's very safe at the same point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do just want to share, just being transparent, we did have a couple of delays on some things. So there is some millwork in some of the offices that was not completed yet, and it will be completed as we go into the next couple of weeks. Similar to the interior desk that you saw at Sutherland High School, we're going to be doing a lot of that at some of the other elementary schools, but we've made temporary provisions in all of the areas. All of the principals have been advised. Everyone is okay. Things are operating great, but unfortunately we did not have all the product due to some of the delays, but just wanted to be transparent with you on that. Any other questions? Yes.
More along on the financial side, just knowing how costs really vary when you're ordering products, how are we doing as far as cost is concerned? I know it costs $2.5 million, but just curious to see if we went over, under, are we on par for where we need to be?
Great question. So the way that actually works is, as soon as our project goes out to bid, that's a locked-in number that we get with a contractor. So I don't even remember when we went out to bid months ago, probably over 8-9 months ago that we went out to bid. That number was locked in at that point. So even if there were price differentials to now and in the marketplace, that doesn't impact us. So we are right within where we were expecting our budget to be. And also we carry something called a construction contingency. And I don't remember the exact number that we had, to be honest with you. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you we have spent a smidge of it. I mean like small percentage points of it. So, and that's going to roll over into our next portion as well. And I see Mike's going to jump in.
Yeah, there's very, very few change orders, so that means it was a solid design, right, with minor modifications. We've got some carpeting issues that we have to follow up with. We added some additional data drops, but for the most part, there were no shocking change orders that went to it. So pretty much, we're well within the established budget.
Good question, and thank you. For the sake of time, I'm going to turn it over to Kurt. So, Kurt, there you are.
Hi. Cool. Thanks, Nick. Yep. I was told to speak closer, but I'm taller, so I'm not trying. Let's see how we can do this. I would like to just recap with starting with Barker Road Middle School for the Phase 2 project. Now, this project has been at SED since April, so everything you're seeing now, this portion of the phase of this project has been at SED, has gone through everything that Phase 1 has gone through, and everything that you have lived through on the $2.5 million portion of this, you will be living through the $50 million portion of this in the next couple of years. So that being said, the scope of this project includes the pretty much renovation of all the interior space of Barker Road Middle School, the kitchen, cafeteria, commons area, bring that up to par with modern technologies and modern functions. That green areas that is going to be the new commons area, infilling the pool, just as a reminder, make that into a multi-purpose room. And then revamping or renovating the 4 classrooms on the left when that moves into the space for the technology wing or technology area in the pool infilled area. As this has been at SED, our work doesn't stop. So what we've been doing is working on what renderings and what finishes will be applied. Working with the district on a regular basis to come up with the finished schedules and finished images. So this is a core image of the corridor, the main commons. As you're walking through, when you come through the main office, down that main corridor, right now I believe there are 2 or 3 vending machines on your right. That's what you're looking at there, your courtyard on your right, and into the main commons area. Finishes include the ACT ceilings, LED lighting, the terrazzo flooring to match the terrazzo flooring of the existing building, trying to make those connections, the flooring connections. Image looking into the new kitchen cafeteria, so this would be the new kitchen space. This is going to be completely relocated from inboard the building proper out into the end of the building. This also helps out with flow and deliveries. An image of the main office when introducing, once you get past the main secure vestibule area that has just been completed as part of Phase 1. And then some of the palettes that we've been working with the principals, staff, trying to bring Barker Road themes, colors, and branding into the spaces. Exterior work, be removing the temporary, and I air quote temporary, classrooms, and that would be the area number 1. Number 2 would be removing the tennis courts and providing an all-purpose surface for exterior activities similar to track surfacing. So if you're bringing some of the Mendon High School track programming over, there's another avenue for you to be using that space. Mendon High School is really focusing now on the science classrooms and bringing those up to modern technologies, modern programming. As a result of doing a utilization study and recognizing that there's more space needed, the addition, we propose the addition to be put on, which is science classrooms upstairs and language classrooms downstairs. The front facade, the addition and the front facade, was, as you can see from starting with the left, has a really nice staircase that has to be part of that addition. That addition has to be treated as a own building. So you've got all of the systems and egress components of a standalone building as part of that addition, which is why we have that stair tower on the end. The exterior cladding is a plastic phenolic material, but the shape is reminiscent of what is existing now in the main entry. So there's that complementing of what you have now with what's just coming new with new product. There's an effort to also rebrand the front of the building to make that connection between the existing and the new with a new signage. That is a really nice metal panel signing with metal lettering right next to the addition. And then the backside, this is looking if you were standing at the athletics track area, looking towards the building. You've got the language on the bottom, science on the top, with opportunities to brand Mendon High School, Mendon Athletics. Science classrooms, similarly to Sutherland High School, to make the teaching elements comparable with the new casework, new fun ceilings. I say fun ceilings. There's an opportunity in these ceilings, though, as you drive down past Mendon High School, you see that tapered ceiling, that tapered roof. That's a result of pitched ceiling. And what we didn't want to do is hide that pitched ceiling, so these are actually tiered ceilings inside of the classroom to complement what's going on in the ceiling above and the structure above. And then more opportunities to brand some of the classrooms with Mendon High School themes. Some of the exterior work that is going on is both at Mendon High School and at Sutherland High School, replacement of the tennis courts. And then the providing athletic drainage at the softball, baseball fields as well. Now, at Mendon High School would be replacing the tennis courts in kind in the same similar area. At Sutherland High School, it would be providing new tennis courts next to the existing. The existing would be rebranded for pickleball. Next, I'd like to review project timeline. As Nick had mentioned earlier, Phase 1 is coming into completion. Phase 2 is currently at SED. Our anticipation is that it's been there since April. SED has been taking about 6 months to review. We started getting comments from them. There are 3 phases of part of the review process: an architecture review, a mechanical review, and a project manager review. We just got completed our architecture review. We're awaiting mechanical comments. Once we get those, then it goes to the project manager for their review and comment. We expect those returns back by the end of the year and anticipated bid in February, March. Kind of flew through that. Any
Thank you.
questions about Barker or Mendon? Yes.
Since phase 2 is sort of going through 2 school years, I think it said on the timeline, have we started to think at all about how to mitigate the disruption to the kids? I'm thinking specifically about the air quality and dust production and the noise.
Yes. So we've actually been reviewing phasing. You want to jump in too? Sure. We've been starting reviewing phasing for about a year and a half now, trying to figure out how to mitigate or how to phase out with minimal disruption. Obviously, at Barker Road Middle School, there are certain phases certain things that have to happen in order for transition spaces to be used. So immediately would be filling in the pool to create teaching space. That allows you to use those as transition spaces to empty out classrooms. And then that actual space will probably get used at least twice, if not 3 times, in the process of moving people around.
I was going to say, we are also in the process of not only talking about it internally with our teams, but we'll be meeting with the individual school principals and their teams. We actually have already, but we're going to be going even further in depth. As an example, here at Barker Road, we already know the cafeteria is coming offline. There's no way we could do that work without taking that offline. So there's going to be some sort of disruption to the normal lunch routine. I'll be honest, we don't know what that's going to look like right now. We are still working that out. But examples like that, those are going to be some of the heavy lifts that we need to deal with in order to make these upgrades. At Mendon High School, where we're doing the addition, there's probably 5 or 6 classrooms that abut right up to that. So we'll need to work with that school principal to talk about, do you really want to have classes in there while we're trying to get this built? So those conversations are happening. We haven't fleshed all of that out yet, but I would like to assure you that everything that we do always has the safety, security, and trying to make sure that we are the least disruptive to your students and your staff as we're going through this?
So far, what I've been really happy about is the collaborative process between the team and the buildings and our instructional staff. I think it's been tremendous, and I really look forward to that continued collaboration. The other thing that we look at along with that construction timeline, which is probably closer to 3 to 4 years from now, just to be fair, is we have been doing some preliminary budget reviews as well. And with this bigger project compared to when we planned it to where we are now, we do have some concerns about being able to complete all of the scope that we anticipated. But certainly we'll have an update as we get closer to bid day on that. So I think one is that great question with the continued collaboration, and there'll be lots more conversation to go forward. And then we'll also have to look to see how the fiscal aspects of the full project, looks as it's bid on the construction timeline as well.
I also
Just a
wanted to
question
mention
for the students. If we had to close the cafeteria, are you good with food trucks? Is that okay? Well, you can submit your suggestions for food trucks. That could be the solution.
Duly noted, sir.
I do want to comment on a couple things. Just a reminder to the community at the beginning when we talked about the idea of a capital project and how long it took for that idea to come to fruition, to go to the state, to then receive approval, to go to bid, and then to begin to start that work. That's taken us a couple of years, and now we're talking about an additional 6 months before we have approval to move on to phase 2, which basically is another year. And so when we go out for capital projects, it's not to say we want a bid and we're going to start the next day. So sometimes projects seem like they're taking forever. And that's just the nature of doing capital projects in New York State. There's an exhaustive review and approval process at the state, and then everything that comes after that. So we're moving according to the timeline we shared at the beginning. But just a reminder, I know we passed the budget last year, and people may think, why isn't it done yet? But we're doing everything that we shared that we would do at the same timeline. The last thing I just want to remind people on is the disparity between Barker and Calkins and Mendon and Sutherland. So Mendon essentially is our second newest building. Calkins is our newest building. And Barker and Mendon really haven't been touched. So in the process of trying to make all of our secondary schools more equitable, not only did we look at the aesthetics, but more importantly, we looked at the functionality of all the work that we've done. So the end product is going to really make Barker and Calkins more aligned and Mendon and Sutherland more aligned. So thank you for taking everyone's feedback for so long, and for bringing everyone into the equation to make this a high-quality project.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abolito and Mr. Bader. We appreciate you giving the updates. And we're so excited about phase 2. Thank you. Next, we'll have our human resource report from Mr. Clark.
Thank you. First, for your consideration, we have the professional staff report. You'll see 12 certificated staff appointments, 1 reduction in FTE, 10 SRP appointments, 1 deputy claims auditor resignation, 2 SRP resignations. We have revised fall coaching salaries and building substitute appointments and per diem substitute appointments as well.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the professional staff report? That would be from Renee and Sarah. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Next for your consideration is the support staff report. We have 8 clerical appointments, 1 clerical resignation, 2 transportation appointments, 2 transportation resignations, 5 custodial maintenance appointments, 4 food service appointments, and 1 food service resignation.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the support staff report? That's from Kim and Emily. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, for your consideration, we have a dispute resolution.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the dispute resolution? That will be from Jeff and Renee. Thank you. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? None opposed. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Next, we will have a student services report from Mrs. Kataya.
Good evening. Thank you for all of the feedback for the Code of Conduct and the Emergency Preparedness Guide. We had a couple changes that we're making to the personnel in the EPG, and we'll update the date for the Code of Conduct. There was also a great question around artificial intelligence and the impact on students and plagiarism, and if that belongs in our Code of Conduct. And that's something we're actually tackling this year and doing some more learning on ourselves as we see how that may play a role within the Code of Conduct. So we're hoping that we have perhaps more information to bring next year when it comes for another revision. So all of the changes for the Code of Conduct and the EPG are part of the consent agenda.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kataya. Next, we will have our curriculum report from Ms. Clayton. So excited.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a minute to update the board around a couple exciting curriculum projects happening in our office. The first is a program review of our K-5 English Language Arts curriculum. And the purpose of that is to really access and organize the information we have about student achievement and also about the organizational supports we have in place. Everything from curriculum to assessments, instruction, resources, professional development, all the facets of that. We want to ensure that our organization is aligned with the science of reading and what the body of research is telling us we need to be doing. We also have, in some cases, some reading units, writing units, things that are in need of update and alignment. We've been making some changes as we go, but we need a more thorough look at every facet of the curriculum to ensure that as we're making decisions, we're doing the right thing to support student learning, we're being fiscally responsible, we're aligned with the research, and English language arts is so complex because it's reading, writing, speaking, and listening across multiple grade levels. So we have a 28-person committee doing this work. And we spent 2 days together this summer with an outside consultant, Debbie Baker, who is formerly the Assistant Superintendent for Instruction in Brighton. She's done multiple program reviews over the course of her career, so she's leading us in the initial phases, which is creating our evaluation plan. That includes like our indicators, how we know that our program's successful, what data we're going to collect, what questions we want answered. We are now in the phase where we're collecting all of the data that we said we were going to collect as a part of our evaluation plan. We're coming back together in November to analyze data and make recommendations and then work on action plans with short and long-term goals. But it's really exciting work. It's a big lift, and there's a huge commitment on the part of the staff. So we have classroom teachers, reading specialists, speech teachers, ENL teachers, special educators, administrators. So for this initial work, it's a really large group, and it's really exciting. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then the second piece that's happening is in mathematics, we are undergoing a pilot of a resource from a publisher, Amplify. So Amplify actually worked in conjunction with Illustrative Mathematics, which is the NCTM program. And they use the platform Desmos, which our secondary students are using in math right now at the high school level. We are piloting the program one grade level per school. So we have grade 1 at Park Road, grade 2 at Jeff Road, grade 3 at Thornell, 4th grade at Park Road, and 5th grade Menon Center and Jeff Road. So the entire grade level is working in concert with Amplify. They're receiving job-embedded professional development. They're receiving the high-quality resources, the coaching, benchmark meetings to assess how it's going, continual review of our student assessment data to see if it's yielding quality results. So we're really excited about this pilot. At least in my 18 years in the district, we've never had one math resource. because there hasn't been a product that has really met the needs for what we were looking for. This kind of has it all. It's aligned with our strategic initiative, next gen skills, our curriculum and assessments. It's in line with the equity work we're doing, providing high quality mathematics programs for all students. It's very highly aligned. There's a lot of opportunities for differentiation. There's a lot of interactive qualities, hands-on. There are some tech pieces for the elementary students, but a lot is also just hands-on work with manipulatives, and really reaches a lot of the computer science and digital fluency standards as well without even opening a laptop. Just very rigorous, very engaging, and a lot of those low floor, high ceiling tasks that we shoot for in mathematics. So very excited to give you continual updates with that, and just wanted to let you know about 2 big projects happening.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ms. Clayton. Next, we will have a special education report from Ms. Woods.
Good evening. The Committee on Special Education and Committee on Preschool Special Education recommendations are on the consent agenda, and that includes a number of recommendations for students who are entering the district as transfer students as well.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. And next, we have our superintendent's report, Mr. Pirro.
Thank you. There is not a need for an executive session this evening. I would like to thank our PTSA for the very generous donation of over $23,000 to be applied to our cultural arts program. And then another donation from PTSA of $6,800 for the purchase of a book vending machine for Jefferson Road Elementary School, which then brings me to a shameless plug of making sure you go to the super sale and continue to purchase. A lot of our funding from PTSA does come from the super sale, so support the super sale. I actually sent an email to the board and asked them if they wanted a product that I had, and they said, send it to the super sale. No one even said, you know, maybe I'll take it. They said, donate it to the super sale. Anyways, super sale. Just a couple other updates. We're off to a great start this school year. I feel very proud of the work that we've done making our schools more safe, and at the same time maintaining that school feel with our vestibules. We'll continue to focus on single point of entry. We'll continue to work with all of the different layers of safety that we've had in the past, everything from encouraging people to see something, say something, to providing us with anonymous tips if there's any concerns, to making sure that our students are feeling included and have a trusted adult, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a lot in place, but from a physical standpoint, I think that we have really hit the mark relative to our vestibules. I also want to share a few remarks that I made on opening day regarding challenges that I know that we're going to see in the fall regarding world events. And it's interestingly, this morning an article came out from Education Week that also echoed this. It discussed how Americans are so divided about public policy issues and feeling negatively towards people in the opposing political party, and rarely spending time with those that think differently. This is why it's imperative that we as public educators and people of influence acknowledge that our job is not to teach students what to think, but how to think. I think that's a really big discrepancy between the two. So it's going to be really important to acknowledge that in less than a month, we'll be contending with and actualize the 1-year mark of the Israeli-Hamas war. And shortly after, we will be contending with the presidential elections. In the upcoming week, I will share more with staff and the community about my desire for all of us to focus on civility and citizenship and less on disparate political views. As further clarification of our roles as a public school, we'll utilize our time in our October conference day to assist teachers and staff who are often caught in the middle with expectations and guidance regarding how to handle political issues as they enter the halls and the classrooms in our schools. Specifically, I will share things like the district requires that the school environment be honest, respectful, caring, and safe. and that diversity be recognized, accepted, and promoted through our inclusive practices, and this includes diversity of thought. At the same time, the district and its employees will maintain official neutrality when discussing politics or politically associated topics. Further, prior to engaging students in any work centered on controversial topics, teachers should have taken the time to develop positive relationships with the classroom community and to establish norms that will support safe and meaningful dialogue. Students should never be put on the spot or ever forced to share or adopt a particular viewpoint or stance on any of these issues, especially in front of the class. Again, it's not our role to teach children what to think, rather how to think. So please look for further clarification via a newsletter, emails, other announcements around this topic. I will be meeting with a few of our central office team members and others to make sure we get this right. I also shared on opening day that Governor Hochul is studying the extent New York State should ban cell phone use during the school day. Stop shaking your head. And she cited multiple hourly distractions that are happening, as well as bullying and inability to concentrate during the school day. So in anticipation of this, the board and I will be conducting our own study and process regarding our cell phone policy. This will be shared with the community along the way. Anyone have any comments in the stands about this? No one wants to go on record? No one? Okay. Last, we have reformed our advocacy committee, which will have our initial meeting tomorrow. And we will be talking about the lack of foundation aid that Pittsford has received, as sustainability is really becoming difficult under our current funding. Foundation aid is the aid that all New York State schools receive to fund their basic education operations. For us, it accounts for about 23% of our total revenue. Since 2012 to now, we are about $100 million in arrears that are owed to us by the state, which we'll never see. But that's if the foundation formula had run as it was supposed to, and it didn't. And so for well over a decade, we've been receiving a lot less than what we've been promised, which has been really a strain on our district. However, at the same point, I will say that we have consistently performed well. We've consistently been under the tax cap. But we're at a point right now where, over time, this lack of funding has caused a compounding negative consequence, especially as we face inflation, cost of energy, cost of healthcare, staff shortages, competitive staff contracts, loss of federal aid, and the compression of minimum wage, and we can go on and on and on. Essentially, we have more money going out than coming in. And unfortunately, it shouldn't be the case. So this is something that needs to be made right with Pittsford from New York State. It was shocking to us that last year that we received just over $1,000 of usable money in foundation aid for this year. So just think about all the things I just shared. So the cost of everything going up, and we received $1,000 in foundation aid that we can use. Our Pittsford taxpayers pay their fair share to support an educational program that is as highest performing as it can get. We generate results, and we deserve the money that not necessarily has been owed to us in the past, but moving forward. It's time now that we finally have a consistent, predictable state aid formula from New York State that we can all support and be proud of. In the near future, I'll be asking all of our stakeholders to engage in an advocacy effort to provide Pittsford with equitable funding. So again, this is one of those things where there's going to be a lot more to come. We're going to start our planning tomorrow, and then from there will be some kind of call to action for our students, staff, community members to work with our legislators to take a look at the minimal amount that we've been receiving compared to other districts in our county and certainly across the state. So while we have all these challenges, there couldn't be a better group to work with. Our students are remarkable. Our community is remarkable, and all of these things we will certainly overcome. I just ask that as we continue to move forward with all of these, that we really be thoughtful about having that sense of humanity and being kind to one another and being able to have discourse in a very reasonable manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pirro. Next, I need a motion for the consent agenda. That would be from Renee and Dave. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. That motion carries. Is there any old business? Okay. Is there any new business? And we have a public comment from Dorothy Botch Barker. Is she here? Okay, if she's not present, may I have a motion for adjournment? That's from Kim and Emily. All in favor? Thank you. The ayes have it.
Any signatures?